Sinharaja Forest Reserve sits in the southwestern corner of Sri Lanka, a UNESCO World Heritage Site and arguably the most bird-dense patch of jungle in all of South Asia. Out of Sri Lanka's 34 endemic bird species, birds found nowhere else on Earth, a jaw-dropping 29 of them live right here in Sinharaja. That's not just impressive, that's almost unbelievable for a forest you could drive across in under 2 hours. And what makes Sinharaja even more special is something called the bird wave, a famous phenomenon where mixed feeding flocks of different species move through the forest together, with an average of 41 individual birds from 12 species in each flock, and around 21 species regularly encountered natural world. Imagine a wave of color, sound, and life rolling through the trees every single morning. Today, we're going to meet the stars of that wave and some secretive loners who avoid it entirely. Our first bird is the one that greets you at the very entrance of Sinharaja. And honestly, it ruins you for every other bird immediately. The Sri Lanka Blue Magpie, Urosissa ornata. Imagine a bird with a deep chestnut body, brilliant blue wings and tail, and a bright red bill and legs, like someone painted it with leftover sunset colors. It's a member of the crow family, intelligent, bold, and social, living in the dense, wet zone rainforests and mountain foothills of Sri Lanka. They move in noisy family groups, calling to each other constantly, and they're relatively approachable at Sinharaja, often greeting visitors near the forest entrance. This bird is a Sinharaja icon, endemic, stunning, and if you're lucky, it'll be the very first thing you see when you walk in. Now, this bird, the Serendib Scops Owl, Otis thylohoffmanni. This is arguably the most extraordinary bird story in modern ornithology. It was originally located, not seen, just heard, by its unfamiliar poo-woo call in the Kitulgala Rainforest by Sri Lankan ornithologist Deepal Warakagoda. 6 years later, it was finally seen on 23 January 2001 in Sinharaja, and formally described as a new species to science only in 2004. It was the first new bird discovered in Sri Lanka since 1868. Today, scientists believe the entire population may be 700 individuals or fewer, making it one of the rarest owls on Earth. Small, reddish-brown, with orange eyes that glow in torchlight, this owl is so elusive that most visiting birders never see it. If you do, you've witnessed something genuinely rare in this world. The red-faced Malkoha, Phoenicophaeus pyrocephalus, looks like it was designed by someone who wanted to make an unforgettable first impression. It has an unmistakable crimson face, a robust pale green bill against dramatic black and white plumage, and a long tail with distinctive white edges. Males and females differ mainly in eye color. Females have white eyes, males have brown. Despite being nearly 50 centimeters long with a broad tail, it can vanish from view instantly as pairs move through the tall, dense canopy. It's relatively quiet and tends to follow feeding flocks inconspicuously. It's listed as vulnerable, and the best place on Earth to see it is Sinharaja, where patient scanning of mixed feeding flocks is the recommended strategy. When you finally lock eyes on one through binoculars, that coral red face, that lime green bill, you'll understand why birdwatchers travel across the planet for this moment. If you've never heard of a frogmouth, prepare yourself. The Sri Lankan frogmouth, Batrastomus monoliger, is one of the most perfectly camouflaged birds in existence. By day, it roosts completely motionless on a branch, its mottled brown and gray plumage making it look exactly like a broken piece of bark. You can look directly at it and see nothing. Local guides at Sinharaja are usually able to locate roosting pairs in swampy areas with tree ferns because they know the exact branches where these birds come back to sleep day after day. 10,000 birds. It's nocturnal, bizarre-looking, and when it opens that enormous, wide, frog-like mouth, you finally understand the name. One of the weirdest, most wonderful birds in Asia, and Sinharaja is your best chance to find one. Meet the national bird of Sri Lanka. The Sri Lanka jungle fowl, Gallus lafayette, is the wild ancestor of the domestic chicken, but no farmyard bird looks like this. The male has an orange-gold body, a deep purple-green tail, and a spectacular red comb with a distinctive yellow center patch, found on no other jungle fowl in the world. It's a top target species for visiting birders, and Sinharaja is among the most reliable places to encounter it. He struts through the forest undergrowth like he owns the place, because frankly, he does. The green-billed cuckoo, Centropos chlororancos, is a large, secretive bird of the deep, wet-sown jungle. It's a rare, forest-loving bird that inhabits dense undergrowth with dwarf bamboo. Very elusive, living in pairs, and Sinharaja is one of the only reliable sites to find it. It has rich chestnut wings, a black body, and that striking pale green bill that makes it instantly identifiable, if you're patient enough to wait. Low, booming calls drift through the undergrowth. You hear it before you see it. And when you finally spot it moving through the shadows, that's a genuine forest moment. Here's a bird with a personality bigger than its body. The Sri Lanka drongo, Dicrurus lophorhenus, is a glossy black, fork-tailed bird that acts as the self-appointed leader of Sinharaja's bird waves. Wikipedia describes it as the fearless leader of Sinharaja's mixed-feeding flocks, and that's exactly right. The drongo leads the wave, calls out alarm when predators approach, and aggressively dives at anything that threatens the flock, including birds twice its size. Other species actually follow this bird because they trust it. They forage more confidently when the drongo is watching. It's small, it's bold, it's the bodyguard of the jungle. Absolutely brilliant to watch. If the drongo is the bodyguard, the orange-billed babbler, Argia rufescens, is the jungle's town crier. Wikipedia calls it the noisy core member of Sinharaja's mixed-feeding flocks, and if you've heard its constant chatter echoing through the trees, you'll agree immediately. Warm rufus brown, with a bright orange bill and a non-stop vocal personality, these babblers move in tight groups, constantly calling, constantly foraging through the leaf litter. They are almost always present in the birdwave, and they announce it loudly. In Sinharaja, when you hear the babblers coming, you get your binoculars up. The wave is arriving. The white-faced starling, Sternia albofrontata, is a bird of the high canopy. This canopy-dwelling endemic is one of the Sri Lanka specialties only reliably seen at Sinharaja, and spotting one requires craning your neck at the very tops of the tallest trees. Pale gray body, white face, dark wings, elegant and subtle compared to Sinharaja's more flamboyant residents, but endemic, scarce, and deeply satisfying to tick on your list. The ashy-headed laughing thrush, Pterorhinus cinerifrons, is the comedian of the forest floor. Its call is a bubbling, rolling laugh that bounces between individuals in a group, almost like the birds are genuinely finding something hilarious. As an omnivorous species in the bird wave, it benefits from the flock's movement, which flushes insects from the leaf litter. and you'll often see a group of them scrambling eagerly through the undergrowth as the wave passes overhead. Gray-headed, warm brown body, and that infectious laugh, this bird brings personality to every Sinharaja morning. Owls in the middle of the day? In Sinharaja? Yes. The chestnut-backed owlet, Glossidium castanotum, is a tiny, round, fierce-looking owl that sits in the mid-story of the rainforest, often in full daylight. This is one of the endemic highlights of Sinharaja, small enough to fit in your palm, with bright yellow eyes that seem to be permanently judging you. It doesn't hide, it doesn't flee, it just stares. And that stare, from something so small, so perfectly round, so utterly unintimidated, is one of the most charming things in birdwatching. The Sri Lanka spurfowl, Galloperdix bicalcarata, is one of the most secretive birds of the entire forest. It creeps through dense undergrowth like a ghost. You'll hear its loud, harsh call, then nothing. It's listed as one of the shy endemic highlights of Sinharaja, and getting a clear view requires patience, stillness, and a generous dose of luck. Dark plumage, red facial skin, and a deeply cautious personality. The spurfowl rewards those who sit quietly and wait. The yellow-fronted barbet, Silopogon flavifrons, is a jewel of the canopy. Brilliant green body, yellow and blue face markings, and a repetitive, rhythmic call that becomes the background soundtrack of any Sinharaja morning. It's one of the commonest endemic birds of Sri Lanka, but common doesn't mean dull. When sunlight hits this bird through a gap in the canopy, it looks absolutely electric. Watch for it at fruiting trees. It's a fruit specialist and will sit in one spot, feeding steadily, giving you as long a view as you want. The crimson-backed flameback, Chrysocalaptes stricklandii, is Sri Lanka's most spectacular woodpecker. A magnificent woodpecker that commands attention with its stunning crimson back and wings, and a loud drumming presence that echoes through the forest before you ever see the bird. It hammers into dead wood with an energy that seems almost mechanical. Chips fly, the forest rings. And then you catch a flash of that extraordinary red back as it spirals around a trunk. Pure drama on wings. Now here is a bird with a very unusual party trick. The Sri Lanka Hanging Parrot, Loriculus berylinus, is a tiny, brilliant green parrot with a red rump and crown. And it sleeps upside down, like a bat. Hanging from a branch by one foot, head down, eyes closed, this little bird roosts in a way that makes absolutely no sense until you see it in person and can't stop laughing. It's described as a non-endangered endemic of Sinharaja, and finding one roosting upside down in the foliage is one of those moments that makes you love birdwatching all over again. The Layard's parakeet, Psittacula calthrope, is an endemic parakeet with a blue-gray head and green body, found in the rainforest canopy. It's a top target species for visiting birders to Sinharaja, noisily announcing itself as it flies over the canopy in pairs. Watch the treetops, listen for the sharp screeching call, then follow the sound until a flash of green tears across a gap in the canopy. The Sri Lanka gray hornbill, Osaceros jingalensis, is impossible to miss and impossible not to love. That enormous curved bill, that loud, laughing call, that bouncing, undulating flight across forest clearings. It lives in pairs or small flocks, and like most hornbills, the female imprisons herself in a tree hole during incubation, sealed in by the male who feeds her through a small slit. This remarkable nesting behavior, the female locked inside a tree for weeks, entirely dependent on her partner, is one of the most extraordinary parenting strategies in the bird world, and Sri Lanka's hornbill does it right here in Sinharaja's ancient trees. The spot-winged thrush, Geokychla bleegi, is a ground-feeding forest thrush of extraordinary beauty. deep russet orange below, dark brown above, with neat white spots on the wing. It moves quietly through the forest floor, like a jewel rolling through shadow. It's regularly encountered in Sinharaja's mixed feeding flocks, but also hunts alone, flipping leaves with its bill, searching for invertebrates in the deep litter of the rainforest floor. Quiet, beautiful, easy to overlook, impossible to forget once you've seen it properly. The Sri Lanka hill myna, Gracula ptilogenes, is a bird with a voice that stops you in your tracks. Clear, liquid, almost human whistles, a range of notes so musical and varied that it sounds like someone is practicing scales in the canopy. It's listed as near threatened, and the illegal pet trade has hit this species hard because its extraordinary voice makes it extremely desirable in captivity. Glossy black, yellow facial wattles, white wing patches, stunning to look at, devastating to hear. A Sinharaja highlight that deserves far more attention than it gets. Our final bird is a showstopper. The Malabar Trogon, Harpactis fasciatus, is not a Sri Lanka endemic, but it reaches its finest expression here in Sinharaja's deep jungle. The male has a jet black head, a brilliant crimson-red breast and belly, and soft brown and white barred wings. It sits completely upright, perfectly still, on a shaded branch, looking less like a real bird and more like a painting someone hung in the forest. It's one of the elusive subcontinental endemics that Sinharaja is the best place in the world to encounter. And once you've locked onto one sitting motionless in dappled light, you'll understand why trogons are considered among the most beautiful birds on Earth. 20 extraordinary birds, one ancient, breathing, irreplaceable jungle. If this video made you want to book a flight to Sri Lanka, good. That's exactly the point. And if it made you look at the birds outside your own window a little differently today, even better. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because next week we're heading somewhere equally wild, equally beautiful, and equally worth fighting for. Until then, keep looking up.